5 o'clock. Welcome to City Council. Prior to this meeting, we had a work meeting where we had an invocation and the pledge, so don't send any emails that we don't say the pledge here. We always do. Last time we did the work meeting before, I got an email like that, so I just had to clarify. So today we have with us our St. George royalty, and I'm going to have them come up and introduce themselves so everyone can get to see them and their beautiful faces. Just talk in the mic and tell everyone who you are.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiade Kyle. I'm Miss St. George.
Hi, I'm Cameron Chambers, and I'm the Miss St. George first attendant. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Callie Rubio, and I'm the Miss St. George second attendant.
And they've been everywhere. They're so involved in the community. It's great. They came out to the Mayor's Walk and the Marathon on Saturday. It was great to have them there and walk with them. I'm going to come down and take a picture with you.
See?
Before we get right into our agenda, we have 3 proclamations. The first one is for National Arts and Humanities. Bardell, will you read that proclamation, please?
I will. Thank you, Mayor. Whereas the coronavirus has had a devastating impact on America's arts sector, with 99% of producing and presenting organizations having canceled events and artists being among the most severely affected segment of the nation's workforce, 52% of all creative workers in Utah became unemployed. Yet, notwithstanding this fact, the arts have helped collectively lead us throughout the darkest times of the pandemic, lifting our spirits, unifying communities, and jump-starting the economy. And whereas the arts and humanities embody much of the accumulated wisdom, intellect, and imagination of humankind, and enhance and enrich the lives of every citizen. And whereas cities and states throughout their local and state arts agencies representing thousands of cultural organizations have celebrated the value and importance of culture in the lives of Americans and the health of thriving communities during National Arts and Humanities Month for several years. And whereas the humanities help diverse communities across the United States explore their history and culture. And whereas the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis reports that the arts and culture sector contributed $7.3 billion to Utah's economy in 2019, representing 3.8% of the state's GDP, 66,624 jobs, and total compensation of $4 billion. And whereas every attendee to an arts event spends $31.47 per person per event beyond the cost of admission on items such as meals, parking, and lodging, a vital income source for local businesses. Now therefore, on behalf of Michelle Randall, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of St. George, Utah, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as National Arts and Humanities Month in the City of St. George, and call upon our community members to celebrate and promote the arts and culture in our nation, and to specifically encourage the greater participation by those said community members in taking action for the arts and humanities in their towns and cities. In witness whereof, Mayor Randall has hereunto set her hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of St. George, Utah, this 7th day of October 2021. and it is signed by Michelle Randall, Mayor.
Michelle Graves, are you going to come in and accept this proclamation? Do you have people with you?
I have people. So
Okay.
our Arts Commission is here. Emily Reed, our manager, Natalie from the museum, and part of our Arts Commission staff here. So we're happy to receive that. And Danielle also, yes. She's a very important part of our
Berta, you want to
community.
take that proclamation down to them? And Michelle, since you and Shane are here, we need to say awesome job with the mini marathon and the marathon Saturday. You guys all did a fabulous job, you and your whole team. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we have a domestic violence awareness proclamation. Danielle's on the Dove Center board, so she's going to read that proclamation.
Okay. Whereas it is a basic human right to live a life free from violence and abuse, and whereas domestic violence is a serious problem that occurs in all cultures and communities and does not discriminate by age, gender, social class, race, ethnicity, religious affiliation, or sexual orientation. And whereas 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men in Utah will experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime, and that 60 to 75% of families with intimate partner violence have children who are also impacted by the violence. And whereas seniors are also victims of domestic and sexual violence and are part of the most underreported group. And whereas domestic violence-related homicides account for over 40% of homicides in Utah, and 80 Utah children will witness the murder or attempted murder of their mother every year. And whereas awareness and intentional collaboration are required to find solutions to abuse and intimate partner violence. And whereas it is the role of local government to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens. Now, therefore, I, in behalf of Mayor Michelle Randall, along with the City Council of the City of St. George, Utah, in partnership with the Dove Center and the Washington County Coordinated Community Response Team, do hereby proclaim October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In the City of St. George, we urge all residents to use October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month to learn how they can break the silence and end domestic violence in our community. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of St. George, Utah, this 7th day of October 2021, signed Mayor Michelle Randall.
Is Lindsay here?
I didn't see her. Oh, Shirley, okay. We've got Shirley Draper.
Shirley Draper, and we have Alyssa here too also.
Some of our CCRT. Oh, CCRT team. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you. Come on in.
And the last proclamation is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas in 2021, more than 281,550 new cases of breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in women in the U.S., and about 1 in 8 U.S. women, about 12%, will develop breast cancer over the course of her lifetime. And whereas, besides skin cancer, breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among American women. In 2020, it's estimated that about 30% of newly diagnosed cancers in women will be breast cancer. Whereas about 43,600 women in the U.S. are expected to pass away in 2021 from breast cancer, though death rates have been decreasing since 1989. These decreases are thought to be the result of treatment advances, earlier detection through screening, and increased awareness. And whereas, as of January 2021, there are more than 3.8 million women with a history of breast cancer in the U.S. This includes women currently being treated and women who have finished treatment. And whereas a woman's risk of breast cancer nearly doubles if she has a first-degree relative, mother, sister, daughter, who has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and about 85% of breast cancer occur in women who have no family history of breast cancer. Whereas, on average, a woman is diagnosed every 2 minutes with breast cancer in the United States, and female breast cancer represents 15.2% of all cancer cases in the U.S. And whereas, on behalf of the citizens of St. George, I salute all cancer survivors and those who support them. Now, therefore, I, Michelle Randall, Mayor, along with the City Council of the City of St. George, Utah, do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Shirley, I'm glad you're here for this one. This affects many women, including myself, that have been through it. Just on Monday, Governor DeSantis from Florida announced his wife, who's only 41, was diagnosed with breast cancer. She has a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 18-month-old. And so it affects women of all ages. If I had not been faithful on yearly mammograms, my cancer would never have been detected until it was too late, because the kind of cancer I had did not produce a lump. So women, get your mammograms. Early detection is the key to wiping this cancer out. So with that being said, we'll go to our agenda. Adam, are there any items that have changed? Anything we...
I would just call your attention to the fact that we do have an addendum, which includes one consent calendar item. And then following the City Council meeting, we will ask the Council to reconvene as the RDA, the Redevelopment Agency, because we have 2 items that need to be reviewed. So on our agenda for tonight, first up we have the consent calendar. There are 5 total items. As I said, item E is on the addendum. If you'll take a look at that, all of these are administrative in nature. They comply with all city regulations. I would note the award of bid on item C for the Mill Creek Sewer Outfall line. I think everybody's aware right now that we're all experiencing significant supply chain issues. Everything is increasing in cost. We've not been immune to that at all. We're seeing increased costs in many of our bids. You'll see in the background there that staff are going to need to work with the successful bidder here to value engineer, which is the term we use to go back and figure out where we can save some money on the project. So our plan is to be able to get that cost down to $3 million. So the approval tonight would be subject to that successful negotiation. If staff are unable to do that, then we would come back with another plan on that project. Otherwise, staff recommends approval as presented.
Mayor, I had just one question on B. It says 14 and then it says 12. Are we recommending, is the consent calendar really for 12? It says staff recommends 12. Is that the number?
Correct. 12
Okay.
is the number. The original request was 14.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. That's all.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Jimmy, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item number 2 is a public hearing and resolution to review and approve amendments to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget. So that's the current budget year that we're in right now. And our Assistant City Manager for Administration, Deanna Berklasich, is going to present this for us.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Sleep deprivation here, I guess. So yes, this is my honor to present the budget openings to you for fiscal year 2022. And this is actually our first packet of budget openings, and this will probably be my last time to present these to you. And I know you had the opportunity to meet Robert Myers, who is my replacement. And so I'll just go ahead and I'm going to highlight, just as in the essence of time, I'm going to jump around probably to 2 to 4, but I'll cover them really quickly. Number 1, and for the most part, a lot of them are carryovers of projects that we started and were approved in fiscal year 2021 and that carried over to 2022. The first one is a grant carryover for the police department. The second one is the price of rye and fescue seeds increased 30 to 40% for our golf courses. And this is partly due to supply chain issues due to COVID pandemic, and also due to weather situations with the Texas freeze and so forth. We were able to work with the state and our suppliers through the state contract to get only about a 27% increase on that. So we were pretty fortunate. It could have been quite a bit more. So overall, for our golf courses, that's it's $110,000 that we're asking to increase their budgets by. Number 3 is just for the open house of the Southgate Golf Course. It's a small amount. Number 4 is for $20,000, and that's to recognize a grant from TDS to help us towards a research initiatives for activities that support the attainable housing goals of the Housing Action Coalition. And number 6 is we received some money called the city's proportionate share distribution from the Utah Communications Authority. This went into effect in May of 2020, and basically of the 911 fees that are paid on cell phone bills and so forth, the amount that's left over after their administrative costs, we get a portion of that. So this is the first time that we've received this. And we received $223,000, and we want to use $97,800 right now to expand 3 consoles in our dispatch center, and then the remainder of the money is to be determined. And I will point out that in order to get those, they have to answer 90% of the calls within 15 seconds and 95% of their calls within 20 seconds. So it's not just that it's given to them. There's some criteria that they have to achieve in order to receive that. So it's quite a good thing that they've achieved that. Number 7 is just to carry over some CARES Act money that we received, and as you know, the deadline was extended to 12/31 of 2021 to spend those funds. And then 8 and 9 are smaller items and carryover. Number 9 is a carryover of a project approved last year and carried over to this year. Item number 10 actually goes with another item in the RDA approval, and that is to do the abatement and demolition of the St. George Inn and the Bicycle Collective building, and that's going to be approximately $530,000 are the estimates right now. And number 11 is just to carry over to complete the Tech Ridge Cloud Drive and Tech Ridge Drive, the infrastructure, the roadway, and the storm drains. And number 12 is actually a reallocation of some CDBG money that we were going to use for water department water lines in the amount of $551,000. Instead, we are going to reallocate those monies towards park improvement projects. And both of the water line and the park improvement projects were approved in the budget already. We're just basically reallocating those CDBG monies to different funds. So we've got to do a budget opening for that. Number 13 and number 14 are for property purchases, which we don't always have the crystal ball to forecast when property is going to come for sale. So we're doing budget openings in the amount of $482,551 for one property and potential fire station site property for $1,150,000. And number 15, 16, and 17 are self-explanatory with the comments there. Number 17 is basically to roll over several park impact projects. Even though the number looks big, that's 3 projects that we're rolling over a portion from last year to the current year. And then number 18 is our Snake Hollow Bike Park. And there's just a few amenities that they want to add: signage, kiosks, monument signs, bike racks, and that's an additional $99,500 that park impact funds will pay for. So hopefully I kept that pretty brief, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions on any of those items, council? So this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing for anyone who has come to make any comments on the amendments to the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. State your name for the record.
For the record, I am Mike McFarland. I live in Sun River. So I'm a latecomer, and it's going to sound strange for me to say it, but it appears that a lot of these items, the demand for additional funds has been created by an exceptional rate of growth. I would suggest that the council consider greater impact fees to help correct infrastructure problems, supply police money, fire department money, and so on, until the growth catches up with taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to you, council, for action.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the amendments to the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Bardell. This is a resolution, so roll call vote starting with Bardell.
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, item 3 is request for a public hearing in consideration of a subdivision amendment and vacation of a public utility easement for Tuscan Hills Townhomes Phase 1 amended. Basically, the amendment right here is to shift the shaded units. They shifted the actual footprint of them, and so basically they shifted those footprints, which then changed the common area, and the common area is considered public utility and drainage easements. So we're vacating the common area and making those private units the unit configuration different. That's basically it. So it's just the reconfiguration of these units for better access to the roadways.
Makes sense. Any questions for Wes? So this too is a public hearing. If there's no questions, I will open it up for anybody who has come to comment on the subdivision amendment. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council?
Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the subdivision amendment easement for Tuscan Hills Townhomes Phase 1, realigning lots 103, 104, 123 through 136, and 129 through 136 to better accommodate the driveway access for each unit.
Second.
Motion by Bardell, seconded by Brian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 4 is a public hearing in consideration of a subdivision amendment and easement vacation for Whisper Ridge Phase 4 and Whisper Ridge Phase 5 to merge lots 34 in Phase 4 and lots 37 in Phase 5 together into one lot. So basically, this was a flag lot before in Phase 5. You can see there's their staff off of the roadway. This was another lot right here that was part of Phase 4. And so they're basically removing that lot line there where there was a public utility and drainage easement and requesting to vacate that and then merge these into one lot. This is the access for this lot previous, so we'll probably look to see about maybe vacating that easement across that lot there, as the access now will come through that staff into the lot. So we'll work with them on that.
Thanks, Wes. Any questions for Wes? This too is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing for anybody who has come to make a comment on this easement. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council, come back to you for motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve a subdivision amendment easement vacation for Whisper Ridge Phase 4 and Whisper Ridge Phase 5 to meet Lot 34 in Phase 4 and Lot 37 in Phase 5 together, to merge those together into one lot, and to vacate the public utilities and drainage easement located between the said lots.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Danielle. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Scott?
Council item number 5 is consider lifting the daytime irrigation restriction for those that are irrigating with culinary water. This is a fairly typical practice that we do every year. With the weather changing and the expectation there's not going to be a whole lot of irrigating during the winter months, we feel this is appropriate. I wanted to take a little minute or two just to kind of give you an idea of how our conservation efforts were this past summer. Obviously, with the extended drought, we put a lot of emphasis on conservation. We did a lot of social media posts almost daily. We put a lot of signs out there in the community. We've done a lot more this year than we ever have. And just, I think as a result of that, if you look at our year-to-date water consumption, so from January till now, the city as a whole is down 2% over last year. So we've used 2% less water this year than last year. If you break that down just in the summer months, the months between June and September, our citizens saved about 8% of the water that they did over last year. That's pretty significant, but also you need to keep in mind that we added about 1,900 connections to our water system. So our water system grew by a little over 6%, but we were still able to save 8% over last year. And then more significant, I got to give kudos to our Parks Department. If we look at the secondary irrigation water that is used on our parks, cemeteries, open spaces, the Parks Department were able to save 12% over last year. So they did a great effort, made a huge effort in conserving water this year. So overall, we're doing fairly well. You know, a 2% year to date it's really well considering the amount of growth that we've seen. So
That's awesome. We appreciate everybody who adhered to the daytime watering restrictions and
while we're asking for consideration to lift the ban, we would still really appreciate the citizens just being wise with their use of water.
yeah, like it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so
Yeah.
turn your sprinklers off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Outstanding. I'll make a motion to lift the daytime irrigation restrictions for those that irrigate with culinary water.
I'll second that.
Motion by Brian, seconded by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, I probably should have jumped in there. I'm curious to know in terms of, we set that ban, but how was that enforced? I mean, did we have individuals that were, actively making sure that citizens were doing the right thing?
For the time of day watering?
Yes.
So this year was the first year we implemented a conservation hotline. 627-4H2O was the phone number, and citizens were able to call in if they noticed that somebody was watering at a wrong time of the day, if they noticed a sprinkler head was broken, any waste of water. So we send out individuals to educate the public of the perceived problems that we saw. We also, the Parks Department generated some door hangers, and we distributed those throughout the Parks Department employees and the Water Department employees. So our employees, as they were out doing their work, if they noticed an issue, they were able to put a door hanger on there with some education and conservation tips.
I suspect that most everybody knew that we were in a drought and were compliant with trying to help us work our way through that. I was just curious what additional prompts we may have done, and it sounds like we did quite a bit.
I think it's fairly obvious that it paid off this year.
Carol.
Good evening. This is item number, my glasses on, 6, which is to consider approval of an ordinance amending 10-10-1 of City Code to amend the use table in the airport vicinity zones. And I will go through that presentation. Hopefully it won't be too confusing. Okay, so before I start, I just want to mention that I think you all know that there's an airport master plan going on right now. We are proposing to make changes to the use lists, but considering there's an airport master plan in the makings right now, we might be coming back. So this is just our first stab. So that's just kind of wanted to let you know that. Okay, so there are 3 different zones in the airport use list. There's the ASBP, which is Airport Supporting Business Park, the AVI, which is Airport Vicinity Industrial, and then the CRM, which is Mixed Use Commercial. And I'm just going to kind of show you where those are, just to kind of refresh everybody's memory. Here we are at the airport. Here's our zones. So the ASBP, it's these outlined in purple. This is the largest area, this supporting business park. The AVI, just right over here in the pink, and then the last one, the CRM, are these 2 red chunks here. So right now, the airport use list, there are 147 uses. So what we're proposing, we're going to be adding some uses, and mainly we're adding just to do some clarifying, or so to actually do some combining. We've got a lot of redundant uses, so we will be combining, editing some of them, taking some uses that don't make sense in certain areas out and putting some in. And then also there's a few that we are completely deleting. So I'm going to go through this order, the adding first. So these are the uses that we've added. Every one of these has to do with the combining. There's a bunch of uses that have similar names. We just made one name that kind of captured a bunch of them. All of these names fit in with our other use lists in our other zones. Everyone except for, of course, the hangar. We didn't have hangar in there, and we do have hangars at the airport, so we thought we'd add that one. Okay, now we're going to talk about combining. I'm going to go through this quickly because this is pretty much, I'll show you the first one. I'll talk about the first one. We have a use that called indoor entertainment activities such as paintball, miniature golf, and arcade. Now, all of these uses were listed in the use list, and they all fit under this one. So we're basically getting rid of all of these and just making one use. So that's kind of how most of these combinations work. So this one, all of these uses are allowed in the CRM, mixed use commercial. So the rest of them, same thing, animal, the hospital ones, barber, beauty shop. We've got, and if anyone has any questions, you can stop me. We've got retail lists here that makes sense to combine them. Food service, we've got some combinations. Manufacturing, got some combinations of them as well. Financial, medical, professional offices, we did have a lot to combine into that. And then city facilities, we did change the name of this so that it matches the other zones, and public utilities as well, so it matches the other zone. Few stragglers, we've got the health clubs, the cabinet shop goes with carpenter, and printing, we just kind of combined all of those. Some manufacturing heavy, that's how we have it listed in our manufactured zone, so we added these all into that. A few other convenience, service station, grocery store, and then freight services. That's the end of that, the combination. Now we're going to talk about what we edited. These are the uses where we actually edited the name of the use, and we did all of these. Everything in green, obviously, is what we added. The red with the strike through is what we deleted. What we were trying to do is make these match the rest of the uses in our other zones. So that's what all of these are. There were a few changes that we made to these, like bulk plants. It didn't make sense to allow them in the ASBP since that's typically a industrial type use. So that's kind of, these are the same, follows the same thing here on the permitted. The C is conditional use, and then, yep, that's all we have on this one. So that's kind of like I said, it's just kind of a cleanup on this and make it match our other zones. And then the rest of these edits, there's a few more pages of these edits. They are taking these uses out of areas that didn't make sense. There were a large amount of uses that were in the industrial zone that didn't make sense. So we took out like a financial or medical office in an industrial zone didn't make sense. So a lot of those are taken out. We did have a few of the ASBP ones taken out as well. And then next page, same thing. We've got a bunch of uses that just didn't make sense in the zones that they were in, so we did take them out. And I believe this might be the final page on this. These were, oh no, I'm already to my deletes. I only had 2 pages of the edits. Okay, so these ones, all of these uses we actually deleted. And I do kind of want to go over them because this might be something you would want to know why we deleted these. These ones that I just outlined in red, those are uses that we have in our zoning regulations. We only allow these uses on certain streets. Well, these streets aren't over by the airport, so it didn't make sense to have them in there. These next ones in yellow, these were ones that just didn't make sense to go by the airport, or they weren't appropriate, or just didn't fit in by the airport. So that's why those were removed. And then the final one, the storage rental units, we do not allow those in a commercial zone. We only allow those in a PD. So if somebody wanted to put in a storage unit, they just need to rezone it to a PD commercial, planned development commercial. So that kind of takes care of all of the items. Basically, we started out with 147. We've kind of reduced it to 81 uses, and I'm here for any questions. We did bring this to the Planning Commission, by the way, and they did recommend approval.
I had one question, Carol. Maybe mine's a little different than yours, though, because on my deleted, it doesn't show what zone they were deleted from. So maybe the zones would actually answer my question, because I noticed that we have approved microbrewery with restaurant, but then we have deleted beer parlor, sale of draft beer, and tavern. Is that because those were combined under microbrewery or something like that?
Yes, and I do want to point out that there were some changes that were made in between the time you got your staff report.
Okay.
And so there were a few of them that we had in there to delete, but we actually did not delete them. And there was about 6 of them, and it was uses for the CRM only, the uses in there that we didn't delete.
Okay.
The microbrewery, in our business license section, it only allows for them in a PD zone. And so in order to make it consistent with our business license section that only allows it in a PD, it doesn't allow it in any of these zones. And so there was a conflict there. So that was a cleanup. If you have a restaurant, you can't have an alcohol license, and that's not a specific use.
Okay.
So were all these recommendations staff-driven? I mean, it's just part of just our evaluation process of Title 10 and our Section
Right.
10? Okay.
Right. When we did the updated Title 10, the zoning regulations Title 10, we did not change any of these. We'll leave that for later. Now we're kind of looking into them. People are starting to get interested in developing out by the airport. And so we felt it was a good time. There were many staff members from many departments that got involved in this. So we tried to get a well-rounded mix of people involved in determining the uses.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Carol? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance amending 10-10-1 of City Code to amend the use table in the airport vicinity zones.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Bryan. All in favor, starting with Vardell.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Adam, item number 7.
Let's discuss item 7 for a minute. This has been requested to be removed by the applicant and tabled to the November 4th City Council meeting. The reason for that is there were too many issues that we felt were still unresolved. We had talked to the applicant even as recently as this morning, and being unable to reach a consensus where we were comfortable bringing the item to council, the applicant, I think, recognized that and has requested that this be tabled to November 4th.
So a motion for that, council.
Mayor, motion to table item number 7 to November 4th calendar.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to item number 8. And this is to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Atkinville Interchange Area Commercial Zone for conceptual site plan elevations and a color and materials board to be known as Sun River Flex Commercial on approximately 6.98 acres located north of Nighthawk Drive, west of Pioneer Road, and east of Sandpiper Drive. So I will go over this case. Here's an aerial of the location. We've got, of course, I-15 that parallels Pioneer Road down here, and then also Sandpiper, and then Nighthawk is kind of the one that transects it. This is the general plan map here. This area is designated as commercial, and then obviously it's a planned development. That's why we are here today to go over what they are proposing. I did want to show this is part of the Atkinville Interchange Area Zone Plan, and this land is this area here in purple. And I just wanted to point out that this is considered community commercial in this zone plan, which allows all uses that are in the C2 zone. So what the applicant is proposing is a flex commercial space, which is something that is allowed in the C2 zone. And this is kind of their site plan placed on the property. This is how it will fit. So in looking over this site plan, and this is a conceptual site plan, staff did look at like the setbacks, the heights, utilities, signs. They didn't have any sign requests. It looks to meet the setbacks. And then the height, they are allowed to go up to 50 feet, but they're only requesting to go up to 33. And we should be sufficient on utilities on this request. So parking requirements, the way that they've got it divided up, they are proposing 46,676 square feet of retail or office, and then showroom of 27,805. So the parking is figured at just a little bit different for each. They are required to put in 233 stalls, and they do have 233 stalls. Now, I do want to mention, this is Sandpiper up here, this is Nighthawk, and then this is Pioneer. The applicants, this is what was presented to the Planning Commission. Since the Planning Commission meeting and since you received your packets, the applicants have been trying to work on a plan to eliminate this entrance here off of Sandpiper. And I have been told that they have been able to eliminate that entrance, which means there will be, it would just be a solid landscaping strip as well as a buffer wall, a 6-foot wall along there. So traffic improvements, they are required to put the decel lane here and left-hand turn lanes as well on Pioneer Road. No traffic signals are required, and they are required to put in the street lighting that obviously meets city standards on that. We do require pedestrian circulation and bike parking and vehicle charging station options. And so we will work with them when it comes to the site plan approval process. So I do want to talk about the landscape a little bit. As I said, this will change up a little bit. This is Sandpiper here again. But they will be required to put in 15 feet of a landscape strip along here, along Nighthawk, and then also along Pioneer Road. And we will verify that as well during the site plan. They did give this as a site plan, and it's kind of hard to see, but there are trees in there. It's a little dark. I did mention a little bit about the buffer, but the buffer that they will be required to put in is along this side here, which is kind of the north east side a little bit. There are residential homes up against here. They will also be required to put a buffer in on this side, and the buffer is basically 10 feet of landscaping along with a 6-foot privacy wall. Lighting requirements, they will be required to meet the regulations. Doesn't appear that this plan they gave us meet it, but we will make sure they do. Elevations of the building. Here are some elevations. This is looking on it from Pioneer, kind of the two sides that face This is the big side that faces Pioneer, and then this is kind of the angle. Nighthawk. This is the side that will face Sandpiper, and then Sandpiper again, and then this is the side that will face that residential development. There's actually no windows or anything on this side. We did present this to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did have some recommendations, and I do want to go over those. Number one, they did recommend approval as long as, number one, they make sure that they meet all of the applicable zoning regulations during site plan review. Number two, the slope to the north will be completely landscaped and will have trees and plants, with the wall being located at the top of the slope as opposed to being down at the bottom. Number three, the light poles for the parking will be restricted to 15 feet high on the north side where it butts up against the residential. And they will also are asking or recommending that they will be set no closer than 50 feet from the top of the slope so that they'll be pushed in. And then the final one, deliveries will only be allowed to be made during business hours. So any questions for me, I certainly can answer.
Carol, I'm sure there's going to be an additional entrance. Do you know where that will be?
It will be, at this time, during this, when they drew this out, they did not have an entrance on Pioneer. They were trying to get one on Pioneer. There's a big slope on Pioneer, that's the problem. But for sure they're going to have, this will be their main, if not the main one here on Nighthawk. Oh, do you know?
Yeah. Well, I think so. The plan that they sent to me was one right here and then one about right here, and then off of Pioneer, both of them right there. This site's so much higher that this site will not get access from here, and so it'll work okay because there won't be any other accesses off of this but just those two accesses.
Questions for Carol?
You know, the only comment I had is business hours are dependent on what the business is, and I don't know that that's really very well defined, other than it's something that we're going to be paying attention to, but I don't know how we can necessarily give anybody a sense of confidence knowing that it's not going to be open from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. or. Right.
And it's something that we can mark it down, and so that when the development comes in, it's something that we can keep an eye on, or have our code enforcement officer keep an eye on it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Is there a standard definition out there for business hours? Or is it just when?
No, we don't have a standard. We have talked to the developer about this, and they are saying that that's not a problem at all.
Okay.
They don't see a problem with that. But
we were just wondering if it would be better to say 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., just to give it a time, like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. instead of business hours, so it's more specific.
And that's fine. The Planning Commission didn't put those hours in, but that's fine to add in hours.
They put in 9 to 6.
Oh, did they? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I asked.
Oh.
Did they?
No, I
okay.
didn't have hours in the minutes that I looked at. I didn't see any hours.
Is that something we can do by ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they have agreed to eliminate the access on Sandpiper,
yeah.
which alleviates some of the concerns.
This one. Yeah, and there were concerns because the wall that would be up here would have been opened at that point. So now it will be a continuous wall along the whole frontage.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think it's unlikely, just given traffic patterns, but I would suggest that we have city staff install some signage on 4100 South that would prohibit any type of commercial truck traffic. I assume that they'll just come straight down Pioneer, but in case that ever becomes an issue, I think that's something we should be aware of and restrict that.
It may be also good to limit that or eliminate that access off Sandpiper as part of the condition of approval.
Okay.
Ready to make a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion.
Okay.
Can I address the council?
No, it's not a public. No, sorry.
We don't get to say it. Okay.
They had public comment during Planning Commission.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the ordinance amending the Atkinville Interchange Area Commercial Zone for conceptual site plan elevations and colors. Materials be known as the Sun River Flex Commercial on approximately 6.98 acres located north of Nighthawk Drive, west of Pioneer Road, and east of Sandpiper Drive, with the following conditions. All of the conditions that were stated by the Planning Commission, with the restriction of, so the hours, so the hours will be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Mm-hmm. We will also be eliminating the access on Sandpiper. And we'll be restricting commercial traffic on Sandpiper, including a sign that will state traffic stays off of Sandpiper commercial traffic.
They have that in there, in the new plan.
So I think with these things we've addressed the majority of the issues how we can on it. So that's the motion.
Motion by Greg.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Vardell. All in favor, starting with Daniel.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. And we're going to excuse Councilman Smethurst. And we ask when you're leaving, if you need to chat, please do it out in the hallway because we still have a meeting to finish.
We'll remember it next time we vote. Just a big railroad, that's all it was.
Have a nice night.
Okay. Item number 9. Consider approval of an ordinance amending Lot 6 of the Tonnequin Center, Phase 2, second amended and extended at Tonnequin Center PDC Planned Development Commercial Zone to build an office building to provide office space for the Tonnequin Data Center to be known as the TDC Office Building on approximately 1.16 acres located at 1600 South at 1108 West. So here's an aerial view of the proposal. You can see over here on this east side, we have Dixie Drive, then 1600 South. The general plan designation is commercial. As was mentioned, it's a planned development commercial. And then here is the actual proposed site plan. With the landscape plan, and then the elevations for the proposed building. And the materials board. With that, if you have any questions.
Questions for Mike? If there's no questions, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance amending Lot 6 of Tonnequin Center Phase 2, second amended and extended at Tonnequin Center PDC zone to build an office building to provide office space for the Tonnequin Data Center to be known as TDC Office Building on approximately 1.16 acres located at 1600 South and 1108 West.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Vardell. All in favor, starting with Vardell.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, item 10. to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Walmart PDC Plan Development Commercial Zone to expand the online grocery pickup area and to give the overall store a paint facelift to be known as Walmart 3220 expansion on approximately 22.87 acres located at 2610 Pioneer Road. So here again is the aerial of the current Walmart building. Commercial is the general plan. PDC is the zoning, as was mentioned. Now here's the proposed expansion area, which is on the south portion of the building. Currently, they have 14 online pickup stalls, and they are wanting to increase that to 33 stalls. They also want to give the building a paint facelift. They're currently going to just keep the same palette with earth tones, browns, and they might mix up the way they put them on the building, but they'll still have the same colors. And then here's their landscape plan. They're on the south end that they have submitted. We have reviewed, we've given them comments, we've had discussions with the landscapers. So they're currently working on replacing all that dead area. And these are the recommended conditions of approval for that area, that the applicant works with staff to finalize a landscape plan that meets the city ordinance, and the landscaping is completely installed before C of O is granted for the expansion area for Walmart. And with that, I can answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for Mike?
They still fit within whatever parking requirements that we have established, correct?
Yeah, their parking's fine.
Ready for a motion?
Mayor will make a motion that we consider approval of an ordinance amending the Walmart Plan Development Commercial Zone to expand their online grocery pickup area and to give the overall store a paint facelift to be known as Walmart 3220 expansion on approximately 22.87 acres located at 2610 Pioneer Road.
With the conditions of approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, with that stipulated condition.
I'll second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, starting with Danielle.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 11 is to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Red Cliffs Mall PDC zone in order to adjust their sign approval to be known as Red Cliffs Mall signage PD amendment on approximately 39.37 acres. Pardon me, generally located at southwest intersection of Red Cliffs Drive and Mall Drive. This is the location of the mall. Red Cliffs Drive here and Mall Drive. Again, zoning is PDC. And you'll recall that earlier this year, they came before you and made application for an amendment that would allow some changes to their ingress, egress, to their signage, did a little facelift, a plaza, etc. So all that was approved at that time. They came in to pull some of their sign permits. We realized that there were some discrepancies between what had been approved and what they were wanting to pull. So that's why they are before you now, is to make that amendment to their sign package. This first one, so they're doing three things. This first one is just a clarification, really. There aren't any proposed changes to the sign, to this sign. This is the one that exists there now. They this is what was approved. What happened was they had in their package that they got approved, stated that it was 30 feet. It's actually 43 feet. So that's just a clarification. Just want to make sure that that is correct in the record, that it's actually 43 feet, not 30. And this is what it'll look like. Again, not a change, just a clarification. These are the signs that they got approved on either side. This is their proposed entryway right here into their site. If we go back, that's right in here. As you recall, these two entryways right here and right here that are a little funky onto Red Cliff Drive, those will be eliminated in favor of a straight entryway into the site at the intersection. So they got a couple of signs that were approved on either side of those, and as we were looking at those, they don't meet the spacing requirements of 100 feet. So they're proposing that those, again, be allowed, but with the spacing of 70 feet as opposed to the 100 feet that's required in the code. And then finally, they are asking for approval of 2 more of these interior, what they're calling wayfinding signs. They have 5 that are approved. Most of them will be in the back of the site. Let me see if okay. I'll go back to this again. So those are mostly back in here, those 5 that have been approved currently. They're proposing 2 more, 1 up here, and then 1 in this area, right in there. So those are the 2 additional signs. Those are the only 2 additional signs. The other 2 things are really just kind of clarification and approval of a modification. So that is their request. Planning Commission looked at this. They recommended that it be approved and have forwarded it a positive recommendation to you. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to try to clarify those things.
Questions? I think it's going to look better.
Have you guys seen their murals? The murals that they painted?
On the inside or outside?
On the outside. You got to go see them. They're really cool.
In the back?
Mm-hmm.
If there's no questions, I'm ready for a motion. Wake up, people.
We're just trying to make sure they're awake on that end. Now, yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion. Maybe there won't be as many boos for this one.
They're Bozeman's. You live in Sun River. Boo after he makes the motion.
Make a motion we approve an ordinance amending the Red Cliff Mall PDC zone in order to adjust the sign approval to be known as Red Cliff Mall Signage PD Amendment on approximately 37.37 acres, generally located on the southwest intersection of Red Cliffs Drive and Mall Drive.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, starting with Greg.
Aye.
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 Motion
So
carries.
confusing.
Maybe it'll wake you guys up.
All right. Number 12 is to consider approval of an ordinance amending the Desert Color PDC. It'd be PDR, sorry, zone to allow a 16-unit building to be known as Covert Desert Color, Phase 5, Lot 501, on approximately 0.47 acres, located on Lagoon Parkway at approximately 900 West. This is the location of the site. You have the lagoon that is right in here. The other amenities, swimming pool and clubhouse that are in here. You'll probably see some amenities coming in this location here shortly. But this is the location, and if you go out there, there's a parking lot that's right here. So it's just to the west, kind of northwest of that existing parking lot. This is the site plan that was approved for Phase 5. Now, Phase 5, you may remember, were these ones in the brown and then the tan. These that were labeled 545, 501, 514, 515 were left for future development. So 501 is the one that we're looking at tonight. You'll actually see 514 and 15 here near future. It has to go to Planning Commission first, but they are coming up on their heels of this one. This is the site plan. It's a single building, kind of in an L shape. One thing that they will have to do, they are meeting the parking requirements, the number of parkings for the units, but they will need to make sure that they are providing enough covered parking. These parking stalls here are actually under the building, kind of an awning in the building, and I'll show you that in a minute. You'll see what I mean. But they might need to provide a little more parking or covered parking over in this area or along here, preferably in this area because this is along the street. So anyway, that's the site. This is the building, and you can see they have some awnings up here, trellis, kind of structures on the top of their roof, but 3 stories, looking at about 41 feet. And some of their amenities that they're proposing are actually on top of their roof, and so I'll show you those here in a minute. But these are the renderings of the building, and this is what would be on the roof. So you have just some areas to lounge and kind of enjoy, a little fire pit, umbrellas, just a place to relax. And so that will be on top of this building. There will be similar ones on the building at 514 and 515, which you'll see in the future. So we'll look at their landscape plan. And just a point of clarification, they're, just so you know, the densities on this project are they're at about 6.9 for phase 5, 6.9 dwelling units per acre for phase 5. So we ran those numbers. The applicant looked at that again, and that's what we're looking at. If you look at just this one, it's higher, obviously, but as a whole of phase 5, we're looking at about 6.9 dwelling units per acre. And civic space is around 12%. So they're looking good as far as that go, meeting the code and their zone plan. The Planning Commission, again, looked at this, recommended approval. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Could you talk about the parking again? So you're saying the parking needs some adjustments, or you're happy with it? Or?
Yeah, let me be clear on that. So they meet the number of parking stalls that they're required to have. What I was saying is that there's a requirement that each unit have at least one covered parking stall. So they are covering these. Let me show you that. You can see that here in this. So those are covered parking. They're actually underneath the building. So this will be covered, but there's a number. I'll tell you what that number is. Looks like 8 of them are covered. So they'll need to provide another 8 so that each unit has at least one covered stall. So some covering either on this side or over here. But as far as the numbers go, they're where they need to be.
These are apartments, is that correct?
I believe these will be condos, Bob? Condos, right? Yes. Yes, condos.
Oh, okay, condos. Okay.
I like them. Any other questions? Any questions? Motion.
Microphone. I'll make a motion, Mayor, that we approve an ordinance amending the Desert Color PDC zone to allow a 16-unit building to be known as Cove at Desert Color Phase 5, Lot 501 on approximately 0.47 acres located on Lagoon Parkway at approximately 900 West, and the only addition would be those 8 more covered parking spaces.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor, starting with Jimmy.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 13 is a request to consider approval of preliminary plat for Desert Garden Cove, a 10-lot residential subdivision located along Valley View Drive at approximately 950 West. So you've already seen this twice, so I'll be quick. Again, there's where it's located. This is the one that came before you as a zone change to PDR and also as a hillside. So this is just how the plat will look, these all being private areas and then the rest being common area with a public road right there.
Mayor, after all the times that we've seen this and all the different plans for this piece of property, I think it's really nice to see that something's happening and it's something the neighbors are happy about. So it's good.
Want to make sure that we hold them to that, beautifying that cut.
Right, that landscaping plan that was part of the, yep.
Make sure that we do that.
Okay, yep.
Good point.
Just those comments? Any motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the preliminary plat for Desert Garden Cove, a 10-lot residential subdivision located along Valley View Drive at approximately 950 West.
Second.
Motion by try that again. Motion by Danielle, seconded by Vardell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Council, for item 14, the applicant was unable to make it to the meeting tonight due to an illness, so they called right before the meeting and asked that this could be tabled to the October 21st meeting.
I'll make a motion that we table item 14 until October
21st.
21st, thank you.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 15 is a request to consider approval of a preliminary plat for Riverside Automotive, a 2-lot commercial subdivision located at the intersection of 4 Master Drive and Riverside Drive. So here is the location of the proposed subdivision. Right there's your zoning. And this is a little different from what was in your packet. So this becomes the property line right there. This becomes Lot 1 on the south and Lot 2 kind of on the northeast right there. They do not care for access off of this road that will go up, that will feed Netta's Knoll from 4 Master, so they requested just to do right in, right out. So on your original one, it just showed a pork chop. We haven't had much success with those, and it concerned us, and so what we'll be required to do, and I had her just draw on here an island right there. Now, whether or not we need to extend that down to the intersection will have to be seen, as we'll have to look at that as far as this lays out. But we're going to require an island that goes in there, similar to like you have on River Road in front of Target, something like that. It just impedes drivers from leaving the site, making a left in or left out. It's just too close to this intersection here. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
That one doesn't really touch hillside, does it? That's just in the flat.
Oh, good comment. I knew there was something else. Man, I'm losing it. So then I had her provide a slope analysis map that shows that they're not grading into that slope area greater than 20%. So she provided that, showing that their grading will stop right in that area right there and leave the rest of the hillside undisturbed. Well, it's already been disturbed, but they won't get into it any further than what's been disturbed.
So Wes, we learned earlier, Adam, right? It's called Mercury retrograde. That's why we're all off of our axis, apparently.
Oh, man, I'm totally there.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's what we heard from Shirley. Go look it up. I don't know.
I could be a case study.
Any questions? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
So is it an automotive facility? Are they a repair facility?
Yeah,
That's what
automotive shop.
Automotive repair facility.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat for Riverside Automotive, a 2-lot commercial subdivision located at the intersection of 4 Master Drive and Riverside Drive.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Danielle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item 16 is a request to consider approval of a preliminary plat for Two Wheat Drive Development, a 2-lot residential subdivision located along Two Wheat Drive at approximately 1850 North. So here's the location right there. Here's Two Wheat right there. 2000 North is right there. Zoning is on it is A1, which both lots would be greater. So they're the 2 lots right here. This is also a change. I know Christina hates this when I do this, but from what was in your packet, they thought they didn't have to improve Two Wheat Drive. I've met with them, explained to them that yes, it's their responsibility to finish the improvements on Two Wheat Drive. So they've hatched that in, showing that they are going to do the asphalt and the curb and gutter. Sidewalk wouldn't be done at this time. There's a future master plan trail that comes through here. It hooks into the park to the south and then extends to the north. So Parks will be doing that in the future. We did discuss with them about dedicating that to the city in lieu of, as their part in the trail. You can see right here the topo drops off fairly quickly. They felt like they couldn't give up the 4 feet because it requires an additional 4 feet. And so they felt like they couldn't dedicate it because it would push them too far to that area that can't be developed. But however, they're going to grant the city an easement, a 4-foot easement for the future trail. So I talked to Parks, they're comfortable with that, allowing for them dedicating a 4-foot easement for the future trail, and that's their participation, and the city would then put in the trail in the future as this develops 2-week drive. They also indicated that they have a 25-foot easement, access easement to the property in the rear. So this lot right here, they're requesting will just access this 25-foot drive easement, and then this lot would access off a 2-week drive.
Wes, we need to make sure that easement language includes the trail.
Right, yeah. In fact, it'll be, the road, the right-of-way is already dedicated to that footage, and so we'll just have them put together a trail and municipal utility easement that covers all of that, so that'll be in there. Yep. And they were good with that. They just couldn't do the dedication because they felt like 4 more feet would push the house too far back into that slope and require a lot of fill.
Any questions for Wes? Not. I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, motion to approve the preliminary plat for 2-week drive development, a 2-lot residential subdivision located along 2-week drive at approximately 1850 North, including the easement for the city trail, or not an easement, yes, easement for a city trail.
I'll second that.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Greg. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I don't have any appointments to boards.
We have the addendum.
Yeah, but let's finish this. Go out of this and go to the other one. Bardell, any reports?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Greg?
Yeah, I want to make a statement. I'm sad about, the air went out of here when I'm a little sad about the Sun River, how that came out, item number 8. I think we really tried to address that. I thought we really hit a lot of the concerns. I hope they felt like they were heard. I guess I'm just speaking to just us, but I really did looked at a lot really closely, and I thought we got as close as we could for having something that was commercial, so that was disappointing.
Well, I think some of it is they don't want any commercial, period. So we did the best, you did the best you could on that one.
It was a good option.
It was.
Yeah, thanks. Just sad. Anyways, that's my comment.
I don't have anything. Jimmy?
Nothing.
Danielle?
Yeah, just a reminder of the Thunder Junction party on Saturday at 11 a.m. celebrating the 5th birthday of Thunder Junction, and the Canta art shows this weekend if anyone's interested in going out there. If you haven't gone out and seen the chalk drawings that they do on the ground, it's really fun.
They are cool.
Yeah,
it's fun to go to that.
It's a lot of fun.
What day, is that on Saturday and Sunday? Because I hope it doesn't get rained on all the chalk.
It's tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, and I think it goes from 11 to, gosh, now I can't remember the ending time. Maybe 11 to 6. It's not super long. But I think that's it. Thanks, Mayor.
So I should have mentioned real quick. So during our marathon, most of you read that we had a 22-year-old pass away. And his mom sent me a message earlier today and wanted me to thank our racing staff. She couldn't say enough about the hospital and the city as a whole for everything that they did for their family. So I wanted to pass that along. And I passed that along to Shane and Michelle as well. So sad deal, but amazing family. They really are a great family. So with that, we can motion to adjourn from this meeting and go into the other, or just go to
We'll want to do items 20 and 21 quickly
20 and 21.
on the addendum.
Oh,
And then we'll move to the RDA.
okay.
Item 20, Mayor, Council, is consider a resolution adopting or approving the Title VI report for Suntran. We update that every, I think it's 3 years, and it requires a resolution approval from City Council. We added the census data 2020 to that report and the demographics associated with that, and then submitted that to FTA.
Do you have any findings that were interesting or that you know were noteworthy that you want to?
We had our triannual review what was it? I think it was in August. And typically we have some findings. I think the 2017 we might have had maybe 20 findings. We had only one finding this year. And it was actually the triennial review was supposed to be last year, but because of COVID they pushed it off for a year. And the one finding was inside the Title VI report, which we were updating, and so it clears up the finding for the triennial review. So we didn't have any other issues.
Cool.
I'm ready for motion.
Mayor, make a motion that we accept a resolution approving the Transit Title VI report for Suntran.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Greg. All in favor, starting with Vardell.
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries.
Item 21, we just need the council to appoint election workers for the general election to be held on November 2nd.
You want a motion, Mayor?
Yes.
Motion to appoint election workers for the general election to be held on November 2nd, 2021, as listed.
Second.
Motion by Danielle, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, we need to adjourn from City Council and go into our RDA meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Okay, Mayor and Council, really quick is a budget opening for the RDA. There's only 2 items. Number 1 relates back to one of the items I mentioned in the general regular meeting for the demolition and abatement of the St. George Inn and other buildings in that location, approximately $530,000. That building is located within the downtown district RDA, or CDA, excuse me. So that's why we will fund it out of the RDA umbrella there. And then number 2 is just that we received more tax increment revenues than we anticipated, and we have an obligation to transfer 20% of that to our housing fund. And so we are just increasing the budget to recognize that additional 20% transfer into the housing fund is what item number 2 is, and that's all I have.
This is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing for any who have come to comment on these amendments. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Come back to you, Council, for a motion.
Just want the meeting to last longer. No questions? Nobody wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Good. I'll second it. Good job.
Motion to approve the resolution to review and approve amendments for the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor, starting with Danielle.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries. Now approval of the minutes from the meeting held June 17th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Greg, seconded by Jimmy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now a motion to adjourn from the RDA meeting and City Council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vardell, seconded by Greg. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're done.